Welcome back to Phoenix Plays a Game. I am Phoenix, believe it or not. I am a chess expert, a risk expert, and a fan of all strategic games everywhere. We are about to embark upon a quest, one that has vexed me for 3 or 4 runs now. We are going to try to beat 62 tactical chess puzzles on chess.com, Puzzle Rush. We are playing survival mode because we're going to take our time. I am going to explain step by step how you can calculate tactics, how I calculate tactics, and how we can progress together in this game. If I get 3 strikes, I'm out. So we need to get through 62 before taking 3 wrong answers. Now, how do we approach this one? Well, it looks like it's 3 pieces against 3 pieces. So the first thing we see is, can we attack the king? I don't really see a good way to do that right now. I have all my pieces being used, but I do see a hanging piece right here. And if I take this hanging piece, it'll attack another piece. So that seems like a pretty good way to start the game. And I don't see a way that white saves this piece and does anything bad to me in return. So I think we can just take a free piece. Now, you've probably seen me do Puzzle Battle, in which me and an opponent, move as quickly as possible. So I'm not going to try to do that here. I am instead going to try to show you the best examples that I possibly can of how to break down a puzzle into its very core components so that no matter how foreign it is to you, you can still solve it. So I typically solve these first 30 pretty instantaneously, I think. 40 is about where I have to start really thinking, and then 50, it gets incredibly difficult, at least for my skill level. So what do we do? Just like on the last puzzle, we look at the king. Can I attack the king? No, and no, none of these are good. The king controls those. But I can take a queen for free, and then it doesn't look like black on black's move can do anything to me. There's a good tip if you're ever playing a real game. Never just stop on your own move. I want to play this as white, but I don't just stop there. I say, what can black do after that? And I see he can move the king, and that's it. And that's not harmful to me. So we're going to take the queen and win. So now I am playing black, and this is a simple pattern that I want you to know over and over and over again. This is the back rank formation. In this one, there's a tiny exception, and it's this square right here, which is F2 for white, or if it were the other side of the board, F7. And so we just need to cover that. But basically, we need to deliver a piece to the back rank. Let's start the same way. Can I attack the king? Sure can, with the queen. Is there anything hanging? Yes, and yes. So it looks like I can take a rook and attack a king, and it turns out that's checkmate. So pretty simple there. Another back rank formation, like I just discussed, but this square is hanging open. Now, earlier we had a queen here that covered that square. Remember, I put the queen here and covered that square on the last puzzle? Symmetrically, that's this one, F7. So how do we cover it? Well, it turns out I have to start a calculation with the farthest away piece. So I want to get this piece out of the way, and then the king will come here. And then we have to see, is there a way to continue attacking it with the farthest away pieces? And it looks like these guys are far away. So then I just simply see, aha, go like this. We'll have these ranks covered. And now I see the bishop covers this square. So it looks like that'll be a checkmate. All the squares covered. So let's go ahead and play it. Do you see how this is a checkmate right here? There you go. Beginner tactics don't have to be fast. You can play these as slow as you like. So how do we find this one? Can I attack the king? Yeah, I can with the queen. Right? Is there anything hanging in the position? Yes, these guys are unprotected. And then you see, hey, look, same as the last puzzle. I can take a rook with check. And that's mate. We already discussed this pattern, the back rank formation. That's the first thing we want to look at. Is there a way that we can deliver a piece to the back rank, a rook or queen? Yes, there is. Then what happens? Well, actually, on this one, this is not a back rank mate. This is what I call a back rank mower. Once we go to the back rank, we are going to just keep taking stuff one square at a time until we are at the king. And so I have to check, and I see this immediately, is that the queen will block, but we just take it. And the bishop will block, and we just take that. Important thing for you to note, if these bishops or this bishop and this queen touched the same square, this wouldn't work. I'll show you. Now, what if this bishop were actually up here, guarding that queen? Well, then I couldn't take the queen, right? But in this one, I can. So it's important that you check that the whole back rank is hanging. Okay, we have a control and we have a control. Just like I was saying, it's almost like I planned this. So now the knight and the rook coordinate on that square. So actually, it's not going to be a back rank mate this time. But we still spot the back rank formation and we have to make it work. So we have a queen. We can deliver to the back rank immediately. Something blocked. What can we do about this? Well, it turns out we can do one of two things. We can take the knight, or we can remove its defender. And a quick calculation tells me if I take the rook, it's actually white's move, and white could, for instance, checkmate me here. We never stop on our own move. You would think this works, but turns out we lose the game. So instead, let's go here. And we have an X-ray tactic. That rook was seeing through the white rook to the back rank. And now we end the puzzle as we started, delivering a piece to the back rank. Let's keep going. This is a kissing queen example. This is where you put a queen right up next to the king and give him a little kiss, sometimes called a kiss of death. Protected by the knight. Same idea. See that? Can we attack the king? Yes, we can. Just like that. Now, if you're awake for the last two puzzles, you can see this one yourself, right? It's the same idea. How do we attack that castled formation? On this one, it's the F7 square, so we're just going to go directly there. And that's 10. That's simple, everybody. You can get 10 just like that. No excuses for not doing that. Anybody can do this if they just simply take their time. And so if you liked that, please take the time right now to go down to the video and hit the like button. Every like you give me shows this video to about 1,000 other people so they can learn chess too. And we all benefit from that. How about this idea? A kissing queen, but hang on, the king can move. But we see that we actually kind of have a second rank formation, not a back rank formation, but a second rank formation because the king is on the second rank from the back. So in this case, what we need are two pieces that can go along a rank. So we're going to go like this. Didn't let me finish showing you. So let me show you here. It goes a little something like this. Check. That's one piece. Check. Check again. And now I'm on the back rank. So now finally I'm able to bring the last piece into the attack. Checkmate. That's how that one works. See how you have two pieces on the, and now it's called a second rank formation. That's worth remembering. So here we go again. Oh, can I attack a king? I sure can. Checkmate. Can I attack a king here? No, I cannot. Looks like there's no piece that does that. So then we say, are any pieces hanging? Yes. What piece is hanging? It's the queen. The queen is hanging. And also this rook. So how can we attack that queen? Well, we can go like this and attack it. And now, because we looked at that, we say, oh, look at that. It's actually attacking a king because it's on the same line. And lastly, it attacks the knight. So we have three targets all in a line. That's a huge hint that you want to deliver a piece to that line. We are. And now we pick up the target that was on the other side while attacking another target. Check just like that. I think almost anything should work here, right? I can just trade the rook. So that's actually peculiar here. Why can't I just do anything? Well, it's because we don't stop our calculation on our move. We always have to look at what the other side can do. So let's go ahead and trade off the rooks with a little fork. There we go, traded the rooks. Okay, do you see this one? This is one of my favorites. This is the back rank bump. You'll only hear about that on Phoenix Plays a Game because I made it up. This is the bump. So we have two guards on the back rank square, but we almost have the back rank formation, right? So what we have to do is we have to push one of them away, and we do that by checking the king, and we bump him away. And now you see the back rank formation. So we check once, and we check again, and it's mate. How can we solve this one? Can we attack a king? We sure can. Okay, forced move. And then we have the formation we already saw, this kind of back rank formation where the queen covers the exit square. All right, very good. How are we going to win this one? We are black and we have a bishop against a knight. Can we attack the king? No. So can we attack the knight? No. It's also on the wrong square. So how can we make sure that we are able to queen a pawn over here? And now we can see what's happening. This is called a pawn breakthrough. We are going to push a pawn. No matter what, this pawn has to either get captured or capture. And that clears the way for another pawn. So now we have to think, how do we get that pawn through? I think if we just go like this, then it's usually, if you are ever blitzing and you just don't know which way to go with this, you don't want the knight in front of your pawn like here. So it is best to try to get to a corner. So I think what's going to happen is we'll take, and the knight will have to go like this to stop the pawn. We'll push it anyway, and it'll give itself up for the queen, for the new queen, for the pawn that is about to become a queen. So same idea. Either way, same thing. A little circle. So this is actually called the knight route. It has an official name, the knight route. And it has to stop on this square. And it would work, except we have a bishop looking at that square. So we push and we take the knight. So that was called a pawn breakthrough. Very important to know. It is a more advanced tactic, so that is important to know. But it's critical that we play these very slowly and understand them all. So no matter how complicated. Now, you may think that it's taking this knight. It is a hanging knight, but we want to count the material. And that's actually step 0. I've been doing that subconsciously. I should do it consciously. There are 2 extra knights for black. So picking up 1 knight actually doesn't win us anything. You can get a lot of puzzles right simply by just counting the material. We automatically know it's not enough to win a knight. We can disregard that. But even if we went like this, there's actually a deflection tactic for black. So this is the wrong move for 2 reasons. But the deflection would go something like this. Check. And the king can't move. So the rook has to take it. And we shockingly find our queen uncovered, unprotected, because its guardian has been deflected toward the king. So instead, what we're going to do is checking off. What is checking off? You see this connection? This very loose, tenuous, dangerous connection. Anytime your king is guarding a piece, you've got to be worried about it because you have to save him and he has to save her. That's right on the edge of danger. So what we really want to do here, by the way, our own queen is hanging. So we can't go like this or we lose our queen. So what we want to do instead is break the connection between king and queen by skewering them in this case. Sometimes it works if you go this way and check them. But we're actually going to check them from the back, and it pulls the king away from the queen. Any other move and the rook would take the queen. But now the queen is hanging, and we win a queen. We didn't win a knight, we won a queen, and that's very different. So in this case, we are going to try to promote a pawn by also maybe attacking the king. So the typical way you would do this would be to cut the rook from behind so that it can no longer guard the pawn. This rook is trying to see through the pawn to the queening square. We're going to cut off its defense of that square. He does it the easy way and just gives up the rook. But the other way, more challenging way, would be to check the king a little bit. And in some scenarios, the king has to like do a little dance to get out of the way of something, but eventually it does. In this case, it would have been simple. Check, king, no more checks. So in this case, we just take the rook right away, and now we're going to queen. We win. Oh, one of my favorites. This is something I called the ladder mate way back when. I think it might be called a Jacob's ladder mate. But how it works is you have a queen and a rook lined up on squares of the same color that have one square in between them. And what you do is you raise the rook, who is protected by that queen, check to a king here. And if you notice, the files are cut. by the queen and rook. So if a king is in between them, he can't get out in any fashion. So he can only go up the board a lot. So what you do, since you already have these covered, is you go rook check, queen check, rook check, queen check, rook check, queen check. And no matter what the other configuration, eventually this king will run out of squares. All you have to do is make sure the light squares are unguarded. And here, the important ones are unguarded. So we're going to go check, and then check right here. Notice that the knight covers this intermediate square. So this would be a bad idea, right? Because the queen could come back, among other things. So let's just mate in one on the light squares. I love that mate. I think it's so super cool looking. So this is a very special scenario where it's almost like a back rank formation, but it's on the side. You can do this with a bishop here or a knight here. In fact, let me color this different. Just like that. Now these squares are blocked, so the king actually cannot escape from the edge. All we have to do is break it open, and I think we're going to do it like this. Check. Notice that was the only legal move for white, and now we've opened up the can. It's like a can opener. We pried the lid open, and now we can come in. Check. And then take that. And it's mate. Okay, how are we going to do this one? A favorite of mine as well. I would love it if a queen could go right here. Mate. The checkmate, right? But it doesn't look possible because there's a rook in the way. So we just got to get rid of the rook. Check. Only legal move is the king take. Check. Only legal move is king go back. And now, look at that. I've transformed my rook into a queen. It's mate. Ta-da. Very fun. I love that one. I love the formation. It's something that makes chess pretty in my eyes. I think it really looks just majestic the way that throwing things up the file works. So you can do that with two rooks. That's a popular way to set up a puzzle. One rook loses itself. Another rook loses itself. The queen comes over. And finally, it's mate. So how are we going to finish this one? 21 is the correct puzzle so far. We're trying to get a 1200 puzzle right. So first things first, can we attack the king? We can. We can go check. We can go check. And we can go check. So I don't think any of those are particularly good. So we're just going to look around the board for more things. Now, I did see this a while ago, but I'm still going to take you through the right process. Are we down material? Yeah, we're down a bishop. So it turns out winning material, like even a rook, is probably not enough for this knight. So what else do we have? Sometimes you have to go back to the basics and use what I call your long eyes. Sometimes we see a bunch of stuff in one area, and we just try to look for things around there. This, stuff like that. And it just doesn't work. So sometimes you have to zoom out a little bit. And then if you do that, you can actually see the one option from earlier. It didn't look right, but it is. And I'll show you now. Checkmate. So that's what I call using long eyes. You want to try to remember that pieces can move farther than you think, and to check all areas of the board. So it's a very common blunder to miss those long distance lines like that. So we have to save the rook. It's a little silly to go here, so it feels to me like it's forced, but maybe it's not for you. So I will explain it. Black has passed pawns that are going to queen, particularly one. Very important endgame idea. You only need one quality pawn. Do not, in an endgame, try to push, and push because, hey, they're all passers. No, don't do that. Spend all your tempi on one pawn and just whatever you need to do to make sure it gets up there. So like king escorting a single pawn. And the rest will just work out later in the game. So we need to stop that guy. I can't use my rook. I can't use my king because the king is outside the square. We draw a diagonal line from the pawn wherever it strikes the back rank, marks the edge of the square. The king cannot get into that box. It's in it or on it is the rule. He cannot get in it or he can't step on it. So he can't stop it. So we have to trade. And now we have to queen our own pawn. Which pawn did I just tell you you needed to invest in? Is it this second pawn? And so now you have two passers? No, it's one pawn. You need one pawn and it becomes a queen. So what we're going to do is we're going to force it up the board first. Now I see that my pawn is already across the halfway line and so is theirs. So we would queen at the same time, but there's a problem. White will queen with check. So you have to watch that. And then the king will go here, and then we will go like this and grab the pawn. Now, the game is not going to make us do that, but it will make us queen with check. Okay, didn't even get that far. Told you it wasn't going to let us. Okay, bang. We saw this earlier with the bishop right here. Do you remember what we did? We did a can opener. So what we're going to do is we're going to sling pieces at this thing, and then we're going to mate him. Checkmate. Checkmate. Well, the knight would come back, and then we take it. That's mate. So we are playing black, and we are down a knight. First thing you got to do, count material, right? So actually, it's a knight and a pawn. So we're actually not well off here. So what we want to try to do, looks like, is either queen or pawn or win a rook. And can we do both? I think so. I think if we go like this and they try to take our pawn, we will just simply fork them and be up a rook, and that's the game. So I think that's probably White's best move. But if he didn't take that pawn, we would just queen it. So I think White is going to take it. So we're going to take a rook. Yeah, okay, they did decide to take it. They could have, like, in theory, tried other ideas to trick me or something, but we would just queen our pawn. So check and take that knight. Huzzah, 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 whatever. So, very famous mate, and I feel like a lot of people know this. This is a very, very common thing to play, and it happens when there are a bunch of pieces along this line. We need a double check. Why? Because our queen is attacked. When you are being threatened with just a discover check, meaning this piece will move and you're in check, the best defense is attack that checking piece. So that's what White did. Now, no matter where black moves the knight, the bishop is attacking the queen. So it's our job as black to make sure that's not enough. So what we're going to do is not just attack the king with a queen, we're going to attack it with a knight as well. Now it's double check. So you can't take my queen. So instead, I think I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to attack your king again. And this is Morphy's famous smothered mate. Ta-da! Mate. Okay, we're through 26 here. I think I want to get 4 more before we cut this off. I hope this was worth it for you. I hope this was a good explanatory session here for beginner tactics. I really hope everybody here is having as much fun as possible. And if you are, hit the like button. I really depend on that to spread the channel. So are we up material? No, material is even. And there are a lot of tempting moves here. I'm thinking that what I want to do is simply win material. Do you see how we can? And I'm just simply making sure that I am correct about that. So I think what we're going to try to do, because I don't see any other checkmate. I think if we go like this, the pawn simply takes. And if we take back, the queen can just simply take that, right? But then we go like this, check, we take. So that's an idea. And the other way is this way, hitting 2 rooks. Typically, I don't like to try to be just up in exchange here. So yeah, I might actually have to figure out what's better. I'll tell you this, I simply struggle with which one is of 2 good moves. Which one is better, because these both look like they win in at least some material. So let's see if, so I thought I was mating or winning a queen with this idea. So let's make sure that's true. Check to the queen, rather. And this is a fork of pawn and queen. So if I push this up, I think the queen can just simply go back. And then we're going to go check because it's now supported. And the queen will go here. And then we will go check. And that's mate. So when you're doing a tactic, if you find one checkmate, you probably have the right idea. You just need to, like, finesse it a little bit. Just a little bit to make sure that it actually works in all scenarios. So we said here, here, and it's check and mate. That's easy. So here, not queen here then. If queen goes here or here or here, we can at a minimum take it or checkmate. So probably not that. So I do think that taking this is the only move. Now, obviously, white can just give us the queen. There's also this idea of check, but we just take that. And there's this check, but we just take that. So no problems there. So here, and then I think the pawn is going to probably take it. And then I think I take back. And now what if the queen moves? Can I go here? Because remember the pawn is missing. Well, then I think we go check and the king goes here and I go check and the king would have to go up here. And then what do we have? Sorry, that's illegal. There is a pawn there still. So I get again another mate, right? If I go check in here and check, and the queen can actually go tuck itself back in there. But then I can go this way at a minimum. So I'm thinking I like that move. Now, alternatively, I'm not seeing much else on the other side of the board that really does more than just wins an exchange, which I think we obviously have better. So let's go ahead and try to checkmate here. We got it right. Let's go here. Ah, they just want to take it right away. Okay, so I thought they were going to try this move, but they didn't. So we know what to do. Yeah, 27. Perfect. Real quick, I'll show you what happens if they played the other lines, the ones I mentioned, because I know not everybody is able to imagine them. So here we have the knight and a pawn guarding these two squares. And otherwise, we have the back rank formation. So we just go check, king over, and then mate. Because it's a back rank formation. Now, what if instead take, and then they play this move? Now what do we do? It's check, like we said, king c1, and then I said check again. But I think we have better now. I think actually, yeah, okay. Let me show you both. This is a very popular idea in the Sicilian, which it looks maybe like this came out of a sort of Sicilian because the c-pawn is missing. The only difference is it's a d-pawn game. So the c-pawn was traded somehow. All right, we traded it. I'm trying to figure out what opening this probably came from. Anyway, let me show you. It's this idea. This is still very popular in the Sicilian. This just isn't a Sicilian. It's this rook check. And what this does is it blasts open these squares. So even in other lines, I might be able to take like a bishop here, right? But I wouldn't. Here, I would go b2 check. And then it doesn't really matter where you go, c2 or d1. It's double check. Let's try this way because I'll show you the double check. Right? Cool, huh? Yeah, that see-through crash through works, but this is the line that I had originally calculated. Queen back, sorry. And now here, and then this one. A very, very common pattern that you should know. So this is worth memorizing. I don't know why the computer didn't test me on this, and it gave me the easy move. It just said, take my queen, when you could have asked me to show you a rook sacrifice. But anyway, I felt it very important to show you this idea of the rook coming in and blowing things open because it's very critical. Now, obviously, by the way, this hangs the queen. Which ties us back to the theme of checking off. I definitely love it when a theme from earlier in a lesson shows up later and I get to show why it is very useful. So this looks like a trebuchet position. So a trebuchet position is one in which you have to attack this formation of one pawn and one pawn with the other, by attacking the other side's pawn from the back. So basically white has to attack here or here or here, and black has to attack the white pawn like this. There's a reason you get tempoed out of it at the end of it. So like here, for instance, I see that there is no way for black to prevent me from going like this. However, while I know that this is a force of a win, or force of a win of a pawn, if you can come to these back squares, what I don't know is does it win the game, because there is a way you can draw this. For instance, here, take, and then if somehow the king were able to go boom and get in front of me. So you have to be very careful with that. I know I can win the pawn. The question is, how do I get there? And so I'm pretty sure, let's check the calculation. It's here, and then either of these two moves should work. And then I win the pawn, right? It doesn't, because of what I just said. I must have miscounted. If I take, it's a draw. They get opposition in front of me. You have to know your king and pawn endgame. So instead, that's why this move is the critical one. It prevents the king from entering this square. I'll tell you what, talking on a microphone while also calculating is very difficult. You sometimes lose track of where you are. Okay, I would have went here to threaten this, to force this. So instead, I want to go here, I believe. So I want to go here, and then if they go here, we take this guy. So here, here, take, here, and then I have to go this way to take control of the opposition square. So why can't I go here? Because they go like this. That still shouldn't be a problem. I go here, they go here, and then I take it. And like I said, I win the pawn, but position, I cannot take this pawn at a time they are allowed to go there. So let's block them from doing that. Now they are one square away. They're too far away. Can't come get me. All right, that's 28. We're going to go for two more puzzles. I hope to get them all right. Typically, I do get through 30 fairly easily on the first idea that I have. So it looks like we have some dangerous ideas of this queen coming in, and we have some other sorts of threats of a very nice knight. But what do we have? We have three pieces against three pieces, two rooks each, one queen each. So it looks like material is even. I noticed that there is a king in the center of the board. So can I attack it? I cannot attack it with this knight, and I cannot attack it with the bishop either. So the only thing left really is the queen. And I don't see a way that I can threaten mate in, like, for instance, one or two moves. So the next thing we want to do is, are there undefended pieces? Yes, there are. There's these two rooks. Not that rook, there's the one rook. Now, in an opening, the rooks start the game undefended, and it's a while before they end up defended. So you definitely always want to be looking into the corners there before the opponent can castle or anything like that and guard the rooks. So I'm looking at how I could possibly attack any of these pieces, and I just don't see any way to do it because I don't have the dark square bishop deliverable to that square. So I don't think that that is the correct way to look. So the only other thing you can do after you look for undefended pieces and targets is look for high value, low value targets. So I always teach that the king is a target because if you win him, you win the game. Undefended pieces are targets because you can just capture them for free or use them in a double attack. For instance, I attack, let's just pretend I could have attacked two rooks at the same time or something. One saves itself and then I take the other. This one saves itself somehow, so then I can capture the other. That's why it's a target. So the only other thing you can do is use little pieces to bully big pieces. And I only can see that I can do this or this. So I know that I have this vulnerability down here, like I pointed out at the very beginning, so I must have to block that. Now, I have also noticed that this is a skewer. So if I drop the bishop back, the queen has to move, I think, because it can't take, I don't think it can take this pawn because I take it at a minimum a piece and I'm attacking two things. I know that the queen is covered, but that's, I can still trade it and they have to save the rook. So I'm up a piece is the idea. So I know that if they go like this, I can take this bishop. But what I can't seem to get past is queen c8. Okay, queen c8, so what? I go d7, and that looks like really good. But queen b8, and now I don't have a follow-up. And I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. And to be honest, I'm praying that the computer doesn't ask me. It's just, it feels like this might be one of those puzzles, and I've only encountered a few of these where there isn't really like a win. It's just, you just are so dominating that for just all the reasons, my pieces are better, my king is safer, I have more advanced pawns, I'm up material a little bit. I am up two pawns, and I'm thinking that is what throws this off. Because the computer curates these puzzles. And so just the existence of two pawns means as long as I can solve my problems, I will have a better position, and the computer thinks that's a tactic, even though it isn't. I was already up to two pawns. So I think what I'm going to have to do is just simply attack that queen, and no matter where it goes, it's just a win because now I'm up two pawns. So it's very, very rare. And the key to this, in case you're wondering, the hack, the kind of like cheat that where you figure this out is if you start the puzzle up material like we are. So that's the only clue I have. I think this is one of those sort of like what I call a malformed puzzle. There is no theme. It's just the theme is keep all your stuff. So I think I am going to play bishop d5. and say, I'm up 2 pawns. What are you going to do about it? Okay, you're going to take that, but I can just take your piece. And then that doesn't do anything, right? Yeah. Okay, I found that a very weird puzzle. I didn't like that at all. It's they just let me take their stuff. I don't know why they didn't play queen back, queen b8. Okay, that's 29. Let's do one more. So I would think the formation would be check. This is a crawler. Yeah, this is a self-reinforcing set of rooks and 2 pawns that crawl up the board together. So very briefly, I will show you independently here. Let's suppose we had just a pawn, and a rook. Okay, the rook, let's turn the rook a different color. Okay, so the rook guards the pawn, guards this pawn, and that pawn guards this pawn, and then that pawn guards the rook, right? So it's a self-contained sphere, but what can happen then is you have the rook and you have the 2 pawns, and what you do is you push up 1 pawn so that it looks like this. Then you bring up this pawn. And now your rook is attacked, but you can just move that to here. So now you've seen we've moved everything up 1 level, and we can repeat the process up the board. So I think what I'm going to do is go here, and then I have a crawler. I'll probably push the pawn, push this guy, and then queen. So it looks like I go check, here, check, here, push, queen, queen. And then I think I'm just winning, right? Because the king has to go here, and I have a rook, and I can probably trade off a bunch of stuff. Yeah, that's a win. That's a win. So let's go check. Aha, she went the other way. This still works, though. I go here, and I start the crawler this way. Queen, check. Only legal move. Check. And then king here, and then I think I queen. And then what do we have? We have the Jacob's ladder. Do you remember that one? Queen, rook. It'd be a queen and a rook, and then the rook, and then the queen, and then the rook, and then the queen. Right? Something like that. This is the square that's covered by the king, so we would just end up pushing the black king into that controlled square with checkmate. So let's go like this. Let's go like that. And now here's the key. I go check. He goes here. I queen. He would take my pawn, but then I do the Jacob's ladder. Right? It's actually even a skewer, but that's not important. That's mate. Because the king controlled that square. Okay? Cool. So that's 30. I think we're going to stop right there. This one looks pretty darn easy. I think I'll just go right here, and then I'll mate you on the next move. Yeah, let's just go ahead and play it. What do you say? Bonus puzzle. I only wanted to do 30. I'll do 31. That was fun. I think we covered a lot of ground. I think you guys are getting better at chess. I think I'm getting better at chess. I had fun. I hope you had fun. If you can, subscribe to the channel. Please do hit that like button. It helps spread the channel. Most people don't know that this content is here available for free. I'm turning it out every single day, whether it's chess or Risk, so that I can learn, so that you can learn, and we can all grow this community together. So I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button, hit subscribe, and hey, leave me a comment. I'd love to talk to you. I read every single comment. Let me know which of these tactics you like the best. I think I told you I like the smothered mate or the can opener. I want to know what your favorite one is and which one of these was the most helpful for you. I'll see you next time. Bye.